You're probably watching this because you are a bride or groom to be and you want to choose the best photographer and videographer for the job, because this is a really special day and you're spending a lot of money, so you don't want to make the wrong decision. Hello everyone, my name is Bryan and I've been shooting weddings for roughly 6 years now with my company Blar Media Group LLC. So using the experience that I've gained over the past 6 years, I'm hoping to help inform you on what to look out for when you're hiring a photographer and videographer. We're going to touch base on 3 things: the hiring process, what features to look for in a photographer videographer, and what you need to do to ensure that the day goes smoothly for them. So let's start with the hiring process. I know at this point you already know how to look for portfolios on social media like Instagram, websites, and Facebook, but you can also look at reviews. And I don't 100% trust reviews, because you could have your friend, write a good review for you, but it is great to first use that as a background check, and then we move forward from there. So when you're looking through their portfolio, you want to look at the different styles that they shoot in and actually maybe take screenshots to show them when you end up meeting up with them, so they can see what you did like. And just in case their style changed, you never know, maybe now they only shoot in black and white and you didn't know that those were taken a year ago. Use material from their website as references. Make sure you let them know what you like about the photos. Maybe you like the lighting or like lens flare or the angles and everything. So just let them know. So you always want to meet with your photographer and videographer. And if that's not possible, definitely stay in communication with phone calls. You want to make sure you're building this chemistry between you and your photographer and videographer, because there's nothing worse than a wedding day where you guys don't get along. Make sure you've gained their trust and they've gained your trust ahead of time, because you're going to be spending roughly 13 hours maybe with this person, and you want it to be a fun experience for you and not a stressful time. When you do meet them for the first time, don't be afraid to ask them a bunch of questions just to make sure you guys are on the same page from the start. So now let's go over the features of a photographer and videographer that are going to help make your wedding day magical. The first one is literally just being a generous human being who understands people and understands schedules, and that there are different things outside of the photography and videography world. You're not going to want to work with somebody who's just strictly business and focused on that. They need to be more of a friend figure to you as well, just to make sure you feel comfortable during the wedding day and they're supporting you. Aside from their skill, you want to make sure they are professional, because they are representing you at your wedding. You don't want someone running around distracting other people. They're kind of just there in the shadows. I know they're going to be seen, but they want to try their best not to be seen and not to cause a nuisance at your wedding. Teamwork is a really big part of your wedding. There's going to be a lot of people all on different pages, and they need to learn how to interact together. So the videographer, the photographer, the DJ, you want to make sure they've all been given the same schedule and they are aware of any updates to it as well. You don't want someone to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, because those are moments that are only going to happen one time and you don't want them to miss it. Another big feature that a photographer and videographer should have is awareness of surroundings, because there are a lot of people and different things all happening at once. There's times where photographers and videographers get in each other's way, but back to that teamwork aspect, they need to learn to work together and be aware of where each other are standing so they don't overlap and miss a moment. In this shot, you can see the 2 photographers and me as the videographer were on the same page, where we stayed in a half circle. Anytime our focus changed to the other half of the circle, we would rotate at the same time to the other half of the circle to avoid blocking each other. So the half circle is actually a very important part that not everyone realizes. A photographer is not going to be shooting over here while a videographer is shooting over here at each other. They're both going to be shooting at the same half circle here. In this shot, the photographer is aware of where my shooter was standing and still stood in front and caused an obstacle here. Luckily, I had a second shooter at this wedding and they managed to get it from a great angle. Had this photographer crouched a bit or allowed the videographer to squeeze by them and crouch, both parties would have been able to capture this moment. There are going to be other things that happen during your wedding day that are going to cause them to take on other roles as well. So you want somebody who is going to take charge, who's going to be a leader, and is willing to go out of their way, be a little proactive when it comes to the weddings. It's a lot better when the photographer and videographer is there to support the bride and groom, assist them with things, and they can flow off of each other's creativity. Hopefully after meeting your photographer and videographer, you are at this level where you trust their vision and any suggestion that they have to make the video and photos look a lot better. As bride and groom, they're not focused on the look of the video. They're focused on their day and having fun. We are there to make sure that fun is captured and it's beautiful. Brides and grooms do appreciate photographers who go out of their way to assist with different things that are, not just the bare minimum of their job. For instance, when I was filming a wedding, I realized in the reception that a lot of people were leaving and there was still a sparkler exit planned. So I was like, hey, wedding planner and DJ, we should probably, do the sparkler exit now, like a fake one, and then have everyone come back in and party, just because later on, if there's only 4 people left doing a sparkler exit, it's gonna look super lame. And that's benefiting the photographer, the videographer, and even the bride and groom. They want to have that full experience of all the lights going around them. This feature is not mandatory, but it is great to have some athleticism to a photographer and videographer. They are going to be standing around for hours and hours and crouching down and running around. So if you have someone who's just walking everywhere lazily, they might miss something, and it's pretty unacceptable for the amount of money that you're paying them. So you want somebody who's going to be on their toes, ready to jump in case an issue arises and they need to think fast. As a videographer, me and my shooters try to stay as hidden as possible. I know it's not always doable, but if there's a bunch of people running around during the ceremony, it's very distracting and it takes away from those special moments. So we do our best to crouch down or stay out of the way as much as we can, but just know it's not always possible. But if someone is standing in the middle of the aisle for the entire ceremony, that is showing that they don't really care about what the other people in the crowd think about the wedding. All they care about is what it looks like in photo or video form, but they don't care about the people that are living in the moment and experiencing it right there. When it comes to these weddings, I think you should get in, get your shot, and then kind of ease out a little bit. That way you can allow other people to enjoy that moment, come back in if you need, take the photo or the video and come back out, just so you're not just standing in the way the entire time. So after the kiss and the celebration, the walk down the aisle is also a very magical moment. And here we are again with a photographer standing in the very middle of the aisle. This shot could have been a really magical moment, but now that there's an obstacle in the way, we unfortunately could not capture that until later on after the photographer was out of the picture and we were outside of the aisle. So let's move on to number 3. There are a lot of things that you, the bride and groom, have to do to ensure that the photographer and videographer can do their job. They're gonna do their best, but you also have to do your part. So with the scheduling, I know the schedule usually changes up until last minute, but make sure every person that's part of your wedding is aware of the same schedule and any adjustments made to it. Because if somebody is left out of that schedule, they're not gonna know exactly when a moment's happening, and they could scramble to grab their camera or they could completely miss it. And you really want all those special moments in your video and in your photos. One little tip that will make it smooth for your photographer and videographer is coordinating dinner with them. It's usually part of their contract, but you want to make sure that the wedding planner or anyone there will come to them and make sure that they get fed so they can get back to the important part, which is capturing the wedding. I recommend letting them eat at the same time as the bride and groom because nobody really wants footage of them eating, so they can scarf down their food real quick and get back to their jobs. If they're eating after everyone and they're eating late, events might start and they might start missing things. Another big thing that I recommend is having an unplugged wedding. I know a lot of people love to use their phones and Snapchat and show people your wedding day. A lot of the times this can get really distracting and cause an obstacle for the photographer and videographers throughout your day. In this shot, you see the bride and groom coming down the aisle, and look what someone's doing. They're using their phone and leaning in front of the videographer and the photographer. That's a big moment, everyone, that brides and grooms love to have. And if that happens, I'm sorry, but what can you do? If you didn't pay for a 2 videographer package, that's the only angle you have. You unfortunately can't use that shot. We're there to capture the day on our high quality professional equipment, but if you have people in the way using their cameras and phones, it just doesn't look as professional and they can get in the way, so it does make it harder for us to frame our shots. When you are looking through people's rates, just know you get what you pay for. Wedding videography and photography is definitely a talent that you acquire over time. You have to learn the roots and when things are gonna happen and issues that might arise and how to troubleshoot these issues right then and there to make sure the flow of the wedding is just continuous. So when you are looking at budgets, The more expensive one are usually the people who have done many weddings and they've learned from mistakes that they've made or issues that they've seen. If your budget's small and all you can afford is getting that person that's right out of film school, I would say go ahead and do it because they at least have experience with a camera. But just so you know, they're not gonna have the experience with a wedding. And that's a skill you can only develop by shooting many weddings and learning from your shoots. I hope I wasn't too harsh on anyone who's a videographer and photographer. I just want brides and grooms to make the right decision because I have seen things and experienced things that are gonna cause issues at a wedding, and I want everything to run smoothly. Your candidate should make you feel comfortable. You don't want them just demanding you to come over here and pose, come over here and pose. You want them to have this friendship and great communication with you so they can make you feel comfortable and beautiful during your wedding day. I hope this video helps not only the bride and groom, but also photographers and videographers trying to get into the wedding industry. If you did like what you see, please give it a thumbs up and comment below things that you enjoyed or additional questions that you may have. This will give me assurance that my videos are beneficial for people and I can keep making them if there's enough questions or if people are enjoying them. So just let me know and have fun at your wedding day.